You made it through an incredibly busy holiday season. You are awesome. Now it's time to do some relaxing. This week, I put together a list of podcasts that are calming to help you take some deep breaths and relax as we reflect on the end of this year and the start of a new one. Hi, I'm Andy Smiley, the Friendly Podcast Guide. I'm a mom who uses podcasts to fight the boredom and loneliness of motherhood and to entertain my kids when I need a break. And I want you to be able to use podcasts in these ways too. But it can be overwhelming to try and find a podcast you or your kids will enjoy in the thousands of shows that are out there. That's where I come in. Each week, I talk about different podcasts with topics ranging from parenting to pop culture and everything in between. My episodes are short and they answer your questions about the show, so you'll know if it's a good fit for you or your kids or not. Now, let's talk podcasts. The first podcast on today's list of calming podcasts is called Desert Island Discs. This is a BBC podcast that talks to interesting people about the 8 songs, the book, and the luxury they would take if they were cast away on a desert island. Each episode starts with the soothing sounds of the beach and dives deep into the person's life while weaving in their favorite songs and how those songs relate to certain parts of their life. Each episode is about half an hour long. If you're looking for a place to start, one recent episode that I found fascinating was the conversation with Dame Donna Langley, who is a film studio executive who grew up on the Isle of Wight. I'll make sure to link this episode and all of the episodes I talk about today in the show notes. Another calming podcast on today's list is called Trail Wait. There isn't much in this world that is more calming than nature, and this podcast helps bring the nature to you, even if you're stuck indoors. It's a podcast about hiking, the outdoors, and the lessons you can learn from both of these things. Because this is a short series that builds on itself, I highly recommend starting on the first episode of season 1 called Act 1. Andrew, the host, decides to hike more than 200 miles through the Sierra Nevada mountains as a catalyst for better health, and he figured that it would make a great story, so he decided to document it. Before we talk about more calming podcasts, let's take a break to talk about a way for you to up your podcast game with me as your guide. So you've started a podcast. That is an amazing accomplishment. Good for you. But now you're realizing that it could be so much better. One way you can improve your show is by scouring YouTube, Pinterest, and Google for podcast tips and tricks that may or may not work for your show. Or the more personalized and streamlined version would be to join my program, The Sounding Board. It's a small group coaching program starting in January where I'll spend 6 weeks teaching you how to take your podcast from a decent long-term marketing strategy to an amazing way for you to find new clients and keep the ones you already have. You'll be learning with a group of motivated podcasters, and we'll have an exclusive Voxer group where you can ask specific questions about your show and get feedback from the group. The Sounding Board will take your podcast from to excellent in 6 short weeks. Doors open for the program on January 1st. If you have any questions, please email me at friendlypodcastguide@gmail.com. Or hop on over to Instagram and send me a DM at Friendly Podcast Guide. I can't wait to help you make your podcast the best it can be. The next calming podcast is called Art of History. The host selects a work of art that can tell us a story about the past. The storytelling nature of this podcast is incredibly calming and honestly just makes me want to snuggle up with a blanket, drink a warm beverage, and Google all of the artwork and historical figures the host talks about during the episode. Each episode is around an hour long, with most being solo episodes, but there are some interviews sprinkled in there. If you're wondering where to start, I recommend just perusing the episode catalog to find a piece of art that sounds interesting to you. But if that feels overwhelming for you, then you wouldn't be disappointed starting with the episode called Eighth Wonder Vanished, The Amber Room. It's a fascinating piece of art and an intriguing mystery that hasn't been solved yet. The last podcast on today's list of calming podcasts is called Reset, a wellness podcast for those who want to learn and grow. It's a podcast that combines business advice and spiritual lessons to help you spend some time focusing on yourself each week. Each episode is around 30 minutes long and gives you a chance to spend some time to reflect on your purpose, potential, and goals in a way that doesn't feel frantic. With the new year only a couple of days away, you might be feeling the pull to evaluate where you are right now and possibly make some changes. I am right there with you. A great episode to listen to as you contemplate this past year and look forward to the new year is a recent one called How to Welcome a New You. Thank you for being part of this FPG community this year. It has been so much fun talking podcasts with you, and I can't wait to see what podcasting fun we get into next year. Also, if you want to take your podcast from a decent marketing strategy to the perfect tool to help you get more clients and keep the ones you already have, join my group coaching program, The Sounding Board. Doors open to get into the program on January 1st. Talk to you soon.